So, hello everybody, and welcome back. I'm out the other side. My intention was to do a video every day. There is no way I've been able to do that. I'm now on day 3, and this is the first chance I've had to, and I felt able to be able to do this. I was well prepared, or so I thought, prior to the operation in relation to what I expected as a recovery. I was told it was going to be a very painful recovery. It's painful. Let me tell you, it's been very, very painful, particularly hours 4 through to 16 were unbearable. But since then, things have been coming on very well. I'm quite pleased, but I'm still in a lot of pain, and I've got a lot of swelling, a lot of discomfort and lack of mobility. That's the big thing. I'll show you the scar and everything in a sec, or at least the dressing in a minute or so. But I'll talk you through what happened. So I went into hospital at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. It's now Wednesday. This is Woodthorpe Private Hospital in Nottingham, and I can't compliment them enough. The staff there are excellent. I was shown to my room, and I was told initially I was going to be one of the later patients. So it was about half an hour after my wife had gone, possibly a little bit less, that then I was told I was actually second on the list, which worked out quite well in a way because I didn't have time to worry. It was like, right, get your things on, you're going down to theatre. So it was down to theatre. I walked down to theatre, sat down on a table, on a bench, and the anaesthetist came in, introduced themselves, and I had an epidural in my low back, and which was totally painless. Didn't feel anything with that. And then he put some anaesthetic in the back of my hand, analgesia and anaesthetic, and pretty much I was away with the daisies. That was at about, sorry, away with the fairies, that was at about 9:20 in the morning. It was probably about 10:15 that I woke up from the anaesthetic, but I was then I couldn't feel a thing. I was totally numb from the waist down. I couldn't see anything because I've got a big curtain in front of me, but I was aware that something that was happening with my knee or with my leg, because you really can't feel what it is they're doing. And my only thought at the time was somebody was using a hammer on me. It was really, really violent, but completely painless. And as I say, I was away with the fairies still, so I didn't really have a great deal of understanding of it. But even then, it was completely and utterly painless. About 5 minutes, 10 minutes after that, the operation was concluded, and the sheet came down, and I felt absolutely fine. No issues whatsoever. Was taken through to recovery. Stayed in there for about 15-20 minutes, and then was taken back up to my room. So this is now 11 o'clock in the morning. So I'm totally pain-free, and completely numb from the waist down. It was a weird feeling, really weird feeling. Over the course of the next few hours, feeling started to return. It's my right knee that's been operated on. It was my left leg that began to get feeling, first of all, again without pain. I had the sensation that I squeezed my legs together. I wasn't squeezing my legs together, but I had the sensation I could. But I certainly couldn't push out. I couldn't raise my legs. Couldn't wiggle my toes for a long, long time. Over the course of the next hour or two, the sensation started to come back, and then I made my first mistake. My first mistake is in that when the pain came on, I waited until it was a 4 or 5 out of 10 before I asked for any pain relief, and I should have waited till 1 or 2 out of 10, because by the time the pain had got to 4 or 5 out of 10, trying to control it after that was difficult. We started off on ibuprofen paracetamol, then it was dihydrocodeine, there was some other medication they were using. We didn't go on to the morphine until later on in the day. And I'm still numb at that stage. I still can't feel, I can't wiggle my toes or anything like that, but the pain is then starting to build up. The nice thing is I was in a bed that I could control all the movements. So I could raise my feet, I could raise my knees, I could sit up, I could use my hands to push me up so I could get myself comfortable and then nod off to sleep, and then I'd wake up in pain and I'd nod off to sleep and things like that. But what I didn't realise was I'd got a brace on my right leg from top to bottom, because, like I said, I'd still got no real feeling, no understanding of what was happening, and I couldn't understand why the sensation in the right leg was completely different to my left leg. It was because of this brace that was on there. I managed to get the pain under control around about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock-ish, and I felt okay again, and then a change of staff. And then it was about 10 o'clock at night that the pain again started to really come back on. Again, I probably waited a little bit too long before I shouted for asked for medication. And about 10, 11 o'clock, I managed to persuade the nurse to take this brace off, because I knew myself this brace was not helping. Once I'd got the brace off, then I felt a lot freer in the knee, and I was able to drop off to sleep again. But it was about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning again with another pain surge. I think that's when I went on to the morphine. And managed to sleep probably through about 5 o'clock in the morning. So that took me through sort of day one. There was no way that I could engage in conversation. There was no way I could have done this at all. The experience was it's painful. A couple of lessons that I'll probably put a compilation video together at some stage about the top 10 things to do, or the top 10 things to avoid. Certainly at the moment, one of the things I was advised to do was make sure I was strong before I went in, and I'm pleased I did that, but I concentrated on strengthening the operated leg. Actually now, looking back, you need to make sure you strengthen your good leg, because obviously after the operation, it's your good leg that gets you out of bed. You're doing one-legged squats all the time. So you need to make sure this good leg is strong. One of the most important pieces of kit I've got is a dressing gown cord, because at the moment I cannot actively move my leg. I can't lift the leg up using my muscles. So in order to get in and out of bed, get a dressing round cord, hook it over the foot, lift it up and bring it through. So that's a really good piece of kit. And then the third thing that is really good is ice. You need to make sure you've got plenty of ice packs. The hospital gave me 2 ice packs to come home with. I've got ice anyway with my occupation as a chiropractor. But yeah, I'm icing it pretty much every hour, certainly every couple of hours, and that's really helping. I'll just show you now what it looks like. Apologies for camera operation. But there's the dressing. As you can see, the right leg is massively swollen, and that's causing me a significant amount of problem at the moment, because I'm not able to do a lot of the physio that I need to do, because it involves bending and straightening the leg. I intend to, in about an hour's time, I'm going to do my physio, and hopefully I'll show you that using the camera. But I'll sort of demonstrate now to you what I've got to do. So lying down, what I have to do is get my leg out as far as I can and basically come up and down like that with my knee. And that looks pretty simple to do, but believe me, it's not. My knee is fixed, my leg is fixed in that position. And yesterday when I was doing my physio, I could sort of get it to there, but only by using, again, the dressing can cord to pull my foot in. And it's a case of sort of pulling it in, letting the pain increase to a bearable limit, and then just holding it, and then let it relax, and doing that 4 or 5 times. And again, bear in mind my rules: listen to your body, no pain. I've just watched a video this morning about the top things to avoid and the top things to do, and everything on there, it's about listening to the body and keeping that pain manageable. The ones I'm having real difficulty with at the moment is I've got to try and straighten the leg and put it into that position. Now, prior to the operation, my leg was fixed in this 5-10 degree deformity. I've not been able to straighten my leg for years. Now I'm told by the physio that with the joint, the leg will straighten. My problem is, as I say, it's not been straight now for several years. So all the muscular work, all the soft tissue on the back of the leg has now got to adapt. So that is what I'm going to really find difficulty straightening the leg. The next one, I say, it's trying to straighten the leg and basically squeeze the quad. The next one I've got to try and do is do a knee extension. And again, I'm finding that impossible. Leg extension, again, at this moment in time, certainly yesterday, that was impossible. And the final one, which is the most important one for me at the moment, is to get a pivot under my foot and just let that knee drop down, because that will hopefully, just using gravity and a little bit of pressure, encourage that leg to straighten. My goal at this moment in time, my 4 weekly goal, is to bend the knee to 90 degrees and to get full extension. So I've got 4 weeks to do that. Bear in mind at the moment I'm on day 3. I've just watched a video where they were saying that after 12 weeks, you're not going to improve your range of motion. So this physio in the next few weeks, few months, are the most vital. I know my long-term goal is to get back to triathlon. That is not featured on my radar at the moment. This is a day-by-day step, and we'll see where it will take us. So my short-term, medium-term goal is to work on this range of motion and get this as far as I can, and managing the pain. So hopefully in a few minutes' time, I'm going to be showing you how I'm doing. You will then be able to see the improvements, hopefully, over the next few days, few weeks, but also it's going to work well for me, because it's going to document to me how bad I am now, and hopefully how good I'm going to get to with the work. Okay everybody, so what I intend to do now is go through the physio that I'm going to be doing over the next few days. One of the big difficulties I've got at the moment is just getting comfortable generally because of that range of motion. And you might get comfortable for 10 minutes or so, but then the discomfort then starts to build up. So the more range of motion I can get in there, hopefully the more comfortable I'll be able to get. The other thing is as well, when you see the physios describe and demonstrate these range of motion exercises, they look really easy, and take it from me, they are not. And certainly in the first few days you may get very, very little movement in there. As I mentioned earlier, one of the best things that you can use is one of these, this is just a dressing gown cord, but something to help move that leg about, because actively you're unlikely to be able to do it. So, first one I want to show you is basically, let's get this up here. Apologies for the facial expressions, but little things like that when you drop the cord. And again, I can't sort of express how tiring these are. They may not be painful, but they really do tire you out. So one of the things that you do have in the initial stages is this swelling, and it's really important to try and get this swelling down, not just from a movement perspective, but also from a blood clot perspective. As part of the pain regimen, I've been given blood thinners to be injecting myself with. That's normal things, but obviously one of the big complications of this can be blood clots. Swelling doesn't aid blood clots. So this first one here is basically ankle pumping, and I'm doing this all the time. Again, this looked pretty simple, but certainly on day one I couldn't do this. So the next one is what's called a heel slide. This isn't the best surface to do because it's not overly smooth, and basically what we want to do here is just do this. Now that looks very easy. I'm going to take you through one round. I'm going to be doing these 4 or 5 times over the next hour or so. So actively, for me to do that, oh, that's better than I thought actually. Oh, so actively, that's about all I've got. So this is where the cord comes in. So again, I'm just going to let it relax. Let's take the pressure off a little bit there. So what I find is sometimes you get this little twinge. So the moment this is not painful, it's just uncomfortable, very, very tight, and I'm starting to sweat a little bit. So I'm just holding this here in position, but then what I'm going to do, nice deep breath out and just try and, wow, wow, oh. Like I say, it's not painful. God, it's not comfortable. Okay, and relax. I might do 2 more, we'll see. Again, nice deep breath in. As I mentioned earlier, the goal for this in 4 weeks is to get this to 90 degrees. I'm pretty pleased with this. I'm pretty pleased with this. Ooh. And then one more. Only a touch. So that's it. Now I'm still keeping the strain on here. But I do think you're going to get a lot more range of motion doing this passively than just trying to struggle actively, because actively, certainly I can't do it. As you saw earlier, I can only get this 5 or 10 degrees, probably a bit more. But here I don't know what I've got, probably 25, 30 degrees. Let the strain off, so that's pretty good now. So that's there now resting, and that feels pretty comfortable. I'm just going to lower it down. I say this is the issue when you're doing these exercises, is they're not pleasant. And relax. So you saw where it was at actively before I did it passively. Let's have a look at now where I can do it actively. And so I do think that's further than when I first did it. Let's say, when the camera's off shortly, I'll be doing that exercise 3 or 4 times. So the next exercise I want to do is activating the quads. And I'm finding this really difficult. I'll try and lower this leg down so you can see what I mean. So if I lower this leg down, out the way. What I want to do now is just activate the quads. So it's basically tightening the quads. Nothing more than that. It looks a fairly simple thing to do, but at the moment, when I've been trying earlier, I can't seem to switch them on. And I've had this before after all the surgeries on the legs. The brain just isn't communicating. So what I'm going to do now is just look at this leg so I can envisage how that feels in that leg there, and then I'm going to try and tense this quad. Ooh, ooh. Okay, so there's some movement in there. I don't know if the camera's probably not quite picking this up, but what it's doing, it's sort of twitching as I'm trying to engage it. It's twitching, it doesn't want to hold. I've only got this here just to support the foot. I'm not doing anything with the cord. So again, just try and squeeze that. Again, not painful, but it just feels very, very tight all around this area. The main twinge I get when I get pain is just medial on the knee just here. So in my head I can feel that tightening and contracting the quad, but looking at it, there's not a great deal happening. Okay. So the next one to do is to do a knee extension. And again, I can't activate the quad. So there's no way, actively, I think I'll be able to do a knee extension. So I'm going to use something like this might be too high. Get a foam roller. No, it's not going to work. Because I can't get that flexion in there. So why don't I just use a water bottle. Just stick that under the knee as a pivot. So again, over the next few days, next few weeks, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, because then now what I'm going to try and do is just lift that leg up into a knee extension, and there's no way. I'm trying like so again, what I'm going to do here, just lift it. Okay. Lift that leg, lower it down. I say it's not painful, but it is very, very tiring. One more. Okay. Try and actively do it. No way. No, it's not going to actively do it at all. Again, it's no, it's not going to do it. The next one to do is a leg extension, but again, I'm not going to be able to do that at this stage. So leg extension is with a straight leg lift. So now it's coming from the hip flexor and quad and a little bit of the abs. Okay, so I can feel it lifting through the hip flexor. So it's doing this. That's not bad. Then the final one I want to do, I was going to do it with the foam roller, but I don't think I'm going to get the foam roller under, is now put the roller of this bottle under the ankle and now just use gravity to lower that leg down. Try and straighten the leg. As I mentioned earlier, that's the one I'm going to have difficulty with because I've had this 10-degree deformity in extension now for a number of years. So, okay. And all I'm going to do now is just let that sit on there. I might do some ankle pumps at the same time. And I'm going to hold this in this position now, hopefully, for about 5 or 10 minutes. Obviously, I'm not going to keep the camera running for the whole of that. I might try the, because I can see the calves come into contact. Oh, there we go. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So you see there's nothing now beneath the knee. I'm not pushing it down. You see I'm trembling. I'm just going to hold that. Just let it relax. I'll do some social media or stuff and just have a look at different things and just try and relax through this now for 5 or 10 minutes. I'll speak to you later. So hello everybody and welcome back. We're now on day 4, so it's a Thursday, it's mid-afternoon. Yesterday was a pretty good day. I didn't do a great deal other than sit and watch telly and get up and move around and did my exercises. But I have to admit last night was horrible. Sleeping is the problem and it's hit and miss. I can't put my finger on whether I'm going to have a good night's sleep or a bad night's sleep. Last night I just could not get comfortable. I was sore on the inside of the knee and in total I had about 2 hours sleep. So consequently this morning I've stayed in bed all morning and I've managed to get a little bit more sleep. My intention now again is just go through one round of physio with you. I've already done 3 rounds, so I'm pretty tired already. Things to notice is might be a little less swelling. I think what I need to do is get a tape measure around here at some stage just to gauge that. Certainly my ankle doesn't look as swollen. When I've been doing the ankle pumps, that's moving a little bit easier. As I say, I had a really bad night last night and I've got a lot of soreness on this medial side of the knee. So when I've been doing the physio a few minutes ago, again, that's the place where I'm feeling it. Again, when I do the physio, apologies for the facial expressions. The way I would describe it though, is it's a bit like going to the gym and just doing some weights and you've not been in the gym for a while. It doesn't hurt, there's just an awful lot of effort involved in it. And it's very, very tiring. So, a little thing like today, my wife's not here today. She got everything prepared for me before she went. And then I've come downstairs and I've gone and left my dressing gown cord upstairs. And it's just like, the thought of having to walk up and downstairs to fetch the dressing gown. I rang her, just not to complain, but just to whinge that bloody hell I'm sat downstairs, I've got to go back upstairs. And it was her suggestion. I'd realised I've got these bands in the gym. So I've only had to walk through the gym and get one of these bands. But it's those little things of just, everything's an effort. Everything's an effort. So, I've already done the ankle pumps a few times. So, let's do the heel slide. Again, so this is active, and again, the camera will be the judge of whether or not I'm doing this better than I did yesterday. My sensation is that I am. I don't think I got it up as high as this yesterday. I say I've already done this 3 times. I'm now going to do it passively and just bring that up. And when I actually put all these videos together to do a compilation of week 1, I'm going to find it really interesting to see whether or not we have the improvement, or any improvement. I say we're on day 4. What I'm after is by week 4 that angle is 90 degrees. The sensation I've got today, it seems to me to have moved more, but I don't know. It's not painful. It's very tight across here. I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to bring it one more. And it's when you relax it. When you relax it, that's when and breathe. I say it's where that residual soreness was from the night. Giving me the most discomfort. So I'm just going to have a minute here, just let that recover, and I'll come back to the camera. So as I say, I think I'm going to find the camera to be pretty good, because in my own head, the sensation that I feel is totally different to reality. So I feel that I can extend the knee, I can feel that I'm bending the knee, but it's then when, for example, I look in a mirror or something similar to that, that you realise it's not in the position that I think it is. It's the fact that I can't take it any further, so therefore my brain perceives it must be on extension. So this is the one now I'm going to try and push down. You can see I'm actually pushing down actively. And what I'm going to try and do now is engage the quad. The camera isn't going to pick this up all that well. And just drive that into the bed, onto the couch. Again, it's just not, you can see I'm lifting my left leg off the floor because the effort involved in driving that right leg down, and then I'm going to let it relax. I think one thing to bear in mind as well, or another thing to bear in mind is, I'm a reasonably fit 63-year-old. I'm used to putting effort into running and racing. I'm used to things being sore. When I was booked into the hospital on Sunday, I only saw a few people there, and we didn't sort of chat much. We were just taken to our rooms, and that was it. But there were people there younger than me, but how somebody goes on who's older than me and is not as fit as me, this is a really, really tough recovery. I've got one client, bless her, she's 89, and she's recently had her left knee replaced, and she said she would never have a left knee replaced because when they replaced her right knee, the recovery was so painful she didn't want to undergo it. Anyway, she had it done in June, she came back to see me in September. She's walking fine, she's absolutely great. So I'm so much more impressed with her. I was impressed anyway, but the fact that she's recovered to full fitness, aged 89, is really good. So what I'm going to do now is put this pivot under the knee, and if you remember yesterday, I tried to put the foam roller under the knee, and I couldn't do it. As I say, I've already done 3 rounds. I've done 2 rounds on this, But now what I'm going to do, because I can, so again I think this is just demonstrating that I couldn't do this yesterday. So this again, I think is a big improvement from yesterday. So actively, can I lift that? Oh, the answer is no. There's no way I can lift that up. I get the sensation that I'm taking the weight, but I haven't got the strength, and I haven't got the inhibition, or I've lost the inhibition to lift it up. So again, I'm just going to do it passively using this. And I mentioned yesterday, this is the one that is going to be my nemesis. Not going to hold it here too long. Again, in my head, that knee is fully extended. The camera will probably prove otherwise, and then I'm just going to let it go. And it just goes through that soreness. Oh, the inside of the knee, I just can't let it go at the moment. Feels like I'm in a sauna in here, with the effort involved in that. So again, I'll just sit here and have a minute, and I'll come back to camera when I'm ready. Okay, so the final exercise then for today is going to be slide the foam roller under ankle. And just let that relax and let gravity drop the knee down. So I'm not going to film all this. You may be able to see on the camera here whether or not that's straighter than it was yesterday. I honestly don't know. But the whole point of this exercise now is to sit here for the next 4 or 5 minutes. Try and let this relax. And just let that knee straighten. You can see I'm shaking like a proverbial dog. So that's it for today. So hopefully I'll come back tomorrow. I don't intend to, because this today has been nearly 12 minutes. I imagine it's quite boring. So my intention tomorrow is I'll do the same. All I'll probably do is a very, very short clip of each one. Bear in mind this is one round that I've done now. I've got to do this another 3 times later on today. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So that's all for now, folks. So, good morning everybody. We're on to day 7 now. I didn't do day 5 or day 6, I couldn't see the point. The gains have been so marginal and the exercises have been the same. So I thought I'd just skip a couple of days with regards to the video. Apologies now for the previous clip. When I was putting it together the other day, I can see there was quite a lot of static on it. I've tried to get rid of it, I couldn't. So apologies for that. I don't know what the cause of that was. So today what I've tried to do, I've come into the gym today. I've got my own gym set up here. And one of the reasons I want to do this is so that now I can be trying to do the exercises on the floor. I've got a mat just here. Because one of the issues when I'm trying to do the exercises on the settee or on the bed or on the floor with a carpet, then your legs sink into the surface. I'm now going to have a hard surface, so certainly from the extension perspective, you're going to be able to see that deformity that's in there, that fixed flexion. The main issue I've got at the moment is the swelling. I've rung the hospital this morning. My right leg, I'll just try to show you here. You can hopefully see there that right leg is double the size of the left, which is then causing me the problem when I'm trying to do these exercises, because there's just so much substance in front of and behind the knee that is then causing the restriction. I'm doing everything I can, I think. I'm taking the anti-inflammatories, I'm compressing, I've added more compression on, I'm icing it at least every hour, sometimes every half hour. Elevation is a really difficult one. That's another thing I might get from the gym today, because I've got a ball, so I might be able to lie on my back and get my legs up into the air and see if we can get some elevation that way. So all I propose to do is just go through the normal exercises, and we'll see what a difference there is. I'm going to add a different exercise at the start, just to demonstrate that I think I'm going to be able to get that 90-degree flexion relatively quickly. I've got 4 weeks to do it. I think I'm going to get there. I'm quite confident on that. It's the, as I've said from the very, very start, it's the extension that is the main problem. So let me put this on the floor here and I'll show you this. So if I put that there now, hopefully we can see that knee there and the angle. And I say what I've got to try and do is get that to 90 degrees in 4 weeks. And so this, what I'm doing now is a combination of pulling the foot back, but also just sort of doing a very, very, very gentle lunge. So I think we can see there that that's getting towards that 90 degrees. And I say I'm on day 7, and I've got another 21 days to get that one done. Okay, so here I am, say, sat on this floor here. I'm going to lower my knee into full extension. And you can see there, quite demonstrate, that's 4 fingers that I can slide under there. So I'm nowhere near reaching that target of trying to extend that leg. Doing it with this one. I think you'll probably see that is a big improvement on days 3 and 4. I can pull it up with this other band here. So from a heel slide perspective, again, pretty good. You know, that movement in there. It's still very, very stiff. It's still quite sore as I'm doing it. You know, don't wrong, this is not free movement. It's a struggle to do it. But that is the one that I'm relatively confident on. I'm just going to take that quad guard off, because what I want to show you now is the activation that I'm now getting within the quad. So I'll just pick the camera up here, just turn it that way, and you can see now, if you just glance through, I'm going to activate the quad now. I can't hold it, but you can probably see both at the kneecap and within the quad itself that I'm starting to get some degree of activation there. So the next exercise is the knee extension. Again, this is a really good demonstration, because as you saw the other day, trying to get this foam roller up under the knee, I was really struggling with. Now that's going under pretty good. So even, you know, just in the space of 2 to 3 days, we've seen a big improvement there. Now let's just see if I can lift this foot off the floor. Oh, whoa, whoa. So that's the first time I've been able to do that. So again, a big improvement today from yesterday. I've now started to get a visible activation of the quad when I'm trying to get it there, and I can just lift that up a couple of inches. So I'm really, really pleased with that. Let's say the exercise that I need to do is the one where I'm going to put this under the heel and I'm going to sit here. I'm not going to bore you with this one, but it's one I'm going to do now once I've switched the camera off. Okay, so that's all the exercises done. That last one was not very pleasant. So that brings us to the end of week 1. Highlights of the week: reduction of pain. Certainly those first couple of days, very, very painful. I'm really pleased that since I've come out of hospital, I've not had to have the morphine once, and I've only had to have the dihydrocodeine on 3 or 4 occasions. The other highlights, yes, that increase in flexion that you've just seen, and the ability now to engage that quad and lift that foot up just an inch or so. I mean, that's massive for myself. I could really feel that this morning. Things to work on, 3 things for me. The big one is the extension. I've said that since day 1. That is my big concern. But to get that extension, I need to reduce that swelling. I mentioned earlier I'm waiting for a phone call from the hospital this morning. I might go into the gym later on today and just get my leg into that position, so I'm lying on my back with my leg up into the air and just try and let it drain a little bit more. And then the third thing for me is sleep. I've had a couple of good nights sleep this week, but the majority last night particularly, I had about 3.5 hours sleep, so I'm absolutely shattered. So I would like to start getting a little bit more consistent sleep. Plans for next week: I'm going to continue with the same exercises. I've got nothing different there. And then on Thursday of next week, I'm having the stitches removed. The other thing I want to try and do is get a little bit more fluid on the crutches, because at the moment it is literally one step, and I'm not putting a great deal of weight. I'm putting no weight really through the operated leg. I want to start try and get a little bit of weight on there now that I'm able to activate that quad. And we'll see how it goes. So see you next week.